designers, now that you've turned your 6 thumbnail sketches into the MediaArt Share Drive, it's time to start building your logo in Photoshop. Make sure that you've indicated which logo that you're going to be working on your sketches. If you didn't do that in Sketchbook Pro, you can just simply add the circle or add an arrow in Photoshop before you turn that in. And when you're choosing which logo design to go with, remember your restaurant concept and think back to what you want your logo to communicate about your restaurant. For instance, if you look at these 6 designs that I have, each one communicates something different about the restaurant. For instance, this one over here you can see is a sports bar and grill, but also the very round script and the bold sans serif goes with the idea of it being a sports bar. These two on the bottom with the more fancy script are a little bit more expressive of a expensive restaurant, which is not what I want. Actually, neither of these are what I want. I want something that's casual, simple, a fast casual restaurant. So I think this logo best describes that. Now you can see I do have an issue that I need to resolve in Photoshop, and that's the readability. The bright yellow of ducks on the white background is not very readable, so I'm going to have to do something in Photoshop to deal with that. Either put a stroke around it or not use the yellow color at all. So when you're ready, create a new file. This file is going to be 6 inches by 6 inches with a resolution of 200. Always make sure that you put your last name, your first name, and the project name right from the beginning when you start a project. Make sure you spell it correctly. And then within this square, you're going to design your logo. Now your logo does not have to fill up the whole square. It will not have a background. I've seen a couple people with some really intricate backgrounds, and that can be great for another part of your design, but a logo has to be really simple. So it's just going to be text and maybe a shape on the white background. You might also want to keep your sketch open. If you just grab the tab on the top, you can pull out another window with your sketches in it. Make the window a little bit smaller because you only will be looking at one sketch. And then maybe put it down in the bottom of your screen like this. Because as you're looking through the fonts, you want to be able to refer back to your plan. My logo here has 3 different parts. It has the word lucky, the word ducks, and then the 3 duck shapes. Those are going to be 3 separate layers. I'll start off with the type tool. And very simply, I will type the word lucky. Make sure you're checking your spelling. I'll make another layer for the word ducks. And then I'll show you in just a moment how I'm going to make those duck shapes. Now, because I was just working on my logo, this Lucky font, this cinnamon cake font, is actually the font that I want to use for the word. You probably won't have the luck of just coming up with the font right off the bat. So the best way to choose your font is to select the word. I'm going to go ahead and change this color so it's easier to see when I select it. Then come up to your typeface menu, go all the way to the top, and select the typeface, highlight it. Then you can use the arrows on your keyboard to scroll through and look through all the different fonts that you have on your computer. You probably have one that matches the idea that you had. And I'll just scroll through a few here. Maybe we'll discuss a couple of these. What you don't want is an unreadable font. Or a distressed font like this one. If you think of your logo being put on a sign, a font like this with really ragged edges would be a printer's nightmare. I actually used to work at a print shop, and we would not have accepted any logo like this because when we printed it out on the vinyl and we tried to cut that out, this would just have fallen apart completely. So some of these distressed fonts are really cool to use in other types of designs, but they're not suitable for logo designs. Same thing actually with something like this. The edges are too ragged for a logo design, even though it's a more simple font. You can see you have all different kinds here. Here's another one that's a really cool font but is not going to work for a logo design. And I actually have already gone through all of these fonts, and I know that the one that I want is a very simple font called Arial Rounded. And I want to change these to all capitals. Alright, and that's getting pretty close to what my sketch looks like over here. Maybe you need to resize the typeface a little bit. And you might notice that these letters are really spaced out. That's called the kerning of the typeface. And you can adjust that on this panel right here, the character and paragraph panel. It might pop up in a separate window, or I like to have it pop up over here with my other panels. Right here, where it has the A and the V and the stretchy arrows, is where you can adjust the kerning. So if I wanted the letters very close together, I can highlight them and then maybe use a negative kerning. That's going to put the letters closer together than they were designed to be. Or I can stretch them out. You can see here on my logo that they're pretty close together, so maybe just a slight negative kerning on those. This also looks a little bit more horizontal, so I'm going to press Command on my keyboard and use my transform controls to stretch out the words a bit. You could also adjust that up here where you have the height and the width of the letters, but I find it easier just to use the command controls for this. Alright, that's looking pretty much like my logo. I'm pretty satisfied with that. If there's something that you'd like to tweak about a typeface, you can very simply make the type layer into a shape layer. Hold Control on your keyboard and click. You get this menu and you can select Convert to Shape. And now you have a shape layer to where you can go and use your direct selection tool to select the path and perhaps stretch out this D a little bit, stretch out the U a little bit. And that's really what's going to make your logo unique, is those tiny alterations that you might make to the basic typeface. You could also adjust the thickness of the letters. For the purpose of this though, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as it is. So now I have a lot of little things to adjust here, like the placement of the Lucky, but let me go ahead and show you how to add the ducks. Now as you can see, even on my sketch here, I am not a supreme drawer of ducks. You do not have to be able to draw well in order to draw something. You already know this. You can use the pen tool. So I went out and found an image of a little rubber duck. I thought that would be perfect for my logo. And I used the pen tool by clicking and adding my different anchor points, just like so, all the way around. I went back and adjusted those. You can see right here, I created this nice smooth path. And then, to create a custom shape, just to remind you, you use a solid color fill, which is on the bottom of your layers panel. It's this little black, half white circle, solid color fill. And then you can make this whatever color. Oh, I did not have the path selected. Make sure you select the path. Working. This should work. You can see it worked before. If you have the same issue, just talk to me and I will help you. When you do a solid color fill, it should look like this, which you see right here, which is your vector mask with your solid color fill. Once you have that, you can go up to Edit and define your custom shape. I've already done that. And then bring it back over to your logo design. It's under your custom shape menu. At the bottom, here's my custom shape. Hold Shift on my keyboard to keep the aspect ratio the same, and pull out my three little ducks. Alright. Now there's a lot of spacing issues here. You see I need to flip the ducks around. I need to get them perfectly spaced. I do have this compositional issue with the Y down here. that I need to finagle, and those are all going to be individual things to your logo. You're going to have to figure out what exactly your logo needs to be clean, simple, readable, and unique. Those four things that we talked about a logo needing to be. If you're not sure how to accomplish any of those things, let me know. I'll be coming around to help. But let me just show you the finished logo design. So here's how I finished it out. You can see I did go ahead and alter the typeface here for the word ducks. I added a stroke over Lucky to make the typeface a little bit thicker. And then I actually had to go in and use my pen tool to adjust the path here on the S so that you could see the Y. So that's how I resolved that issue. Once I had my logo, I decided that I would like it to look a little bit more cohesive. So I drew a rounded rectangle around it. And then just to tell you a little bit more about the restaurant, I added Chinese American cuisine. Now, what you'll notice is even if I make this logo small and use a less readable color like red, this is still a very clean, simple, and readable logo. This is the type of thing that I would like you to turn in. Again, once you're done creating your logo, you're going to combine all of your layers into a vector mask so that you can come up and edit and define it as a custom shape. And I can help you to do that if you need. There's also a video on the MediaArt Share Drive if you need to review some of those skills using the pen tool or the direct selection tool. All right, happy designing.